What up? What up? Another episode of Ball and Biz right here. Just keeping you updated and everything going on and a little bit of business and also a little bit of sports too. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jeremy. Ball and Biz, we're always talking about ball because, former D1 athletes always get into it when it comes to the sports and then business as well, because who doesn't like a little paper?
Now, Jeremy, it's been a week or two, so we got a couple things to cover. Obviously, big things happening in the NBA. First thing, Tibbs fired by the Knicks just happened this afternoon. Bounced after Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Coming up short in the NBA Finals. That's what the Knicks wants. They got a standard. Obviously, they're going another direction. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Speaking of the finals, OKC versus Indy. We're going to talk about it. Your boys got it on the line. The MVP, they're going up against them. But we already got some big wins, too, in the bank account. Bitcoin is back down to 106, but it's been shooting definitely steady over 100, reached up to like 110, 109. So hopefully everybody cutting their profits off the top. Jerm getting paid a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then more traditional investments, S&P is up at 5,900. So that's good right there, too. So it's a good day for all the investors. First conversation, though, that's after now that we threw the main news and notes right there. Bitcoin shooting, Jerm. What you been noticing with your account? Kind of talk a little bit about what you saw.
Yeah. Oh, it's been shooting because I first got into Bitcoin when it was like at 75,000, and now that it's up to 104, I do shave off some of the profits, right? Just because I want to, put a little in my own personal bank account. But yeah, it's been shooting up, been growing steady. From all my research, I mean, Bitcoin is the thing where you need to be putting your coins in. That's what's yielding. It's obviously a high risk, quote unquote, just because it's not guaranteed. But what is in life, right? I'm a high risk kind of guy anyway. Now, of course, I do have my other accounts where it's a little safer, whatever. But as far as my kind of play money, I'm tossing money in that account.
Right.
Great, and it's been growing steady.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people. I mean, that's what I kind of do too. It's going to be good. You're going to see the ups. You're going to see the downs too. But you're going to see the ups. And it's not linear. It goes up and down. But overall, if you look at the past 5 years, it's been going up. So we here to stay. There's other things too. I'm in Ethereum. That's been shooting. Ethereum's done well for me.
Yep.
Really.
I'm in that too.
And there's a couple of them. Just keep building your base. Right now, like I'm not buying in bulk, but I got my regular payments going through, my weeklies, my monthlies, my bi-monthlies, just depending on my different coins and how I got it figured out. But, that way, okay, I'm always keeping that base strong and solid. But soon as that, I see that price drop, I'm going in bulk. So definitely something to keep on the lookout for. Something that's definitely, spicy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So going into the summer, Germ, I take it, like I said, I've been riding this crypto up. I've got a little extra change in my pocket. Any financial summer plans? Right now, my game plan, I'm just stacking up, waiting for that next dip in the crypto, waiting for that next dip in the stocks. Really, tariffs, never know what's going to happen next. That 90-day deadline's coming up here, in several weeks. We'll see what happens with that. Obviously, every time Donald Trump talks about tariffs, market goes down for the most part. Good time to buy in. So, I'm just stacking my paper up right now while things seem calm in the beginning of June. That can always change tomorrow, though. What about you?
Yeah, I'm stacking as well. Obviously, I'm always keeping my eyes to the streets of real estate as well. So I got some new projects starting up, ground up construction. So I'm, obviously putting money there. But yeah, I think Bitcoin is something that I'm always going to keep throwing in, and I've already seen a great return from it. So for me, it's just kind of diversifying my portfolio.
Man, talk about real estate real quick. I know it's not on the rundown, but I've seen something about 500,000 more buyers in the market, sellers in the market than buyers.
Yeah.
What does that mean for a real estate investor like you?
And that means that a lot of stuff just isn't buying. There's not a lot of buyers out there, A, because interest rates are high, and B, because people stuff is just expensive. At the end of the day, stuff is just expensive.
It's expensive to breathe these days.
Yeah, and people the common person just can't afford a house at the end of the day, which is why there's so many renters. There's so many renters. Like I have, 30 plus rentals, right? Some of them most of them being apartments. And it's not an issue for me to find renters at all. I got people in there for a year or two, signing year-long leases, 2-year leases, because there is just a plethora of rentals. But it's when it comes to me selling a house that I've renovated and now it's on the market, that's where it's tough. Those houses are just sitting. They just are. which sucks. So we've kind of had to kind of change the strategy. Well, it's not selling, so we just need to go ahead and put a renter in there. So
I'm about to say
it's at least paying for the mortgage and a little bit extra, right? So at least we're not losing at the end of the day. But it's tough. It's tough, and so that's kind of how we've had to pivot.
Man, and you mentioned that right there. Talk about being an entrepreneur. They say the number one thing of being an entrepreneur is being versatile, going with the flow. Take what the defense gives you. Talk about how important that is, especially you saying, hey, you plan to sell something, but now you got to make money, so you're going to rent it.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough, but you got to swallow your ego, your pride, and like, okay, well, I went into option A, and option A was to sell, but now it's not. So you have to just be able to adapt and take what the defense gives you. You have to be able to kind of look through your emotions a little bit and be like, all right, well, forget my emotions. This is the reality. The reality is, there's not a lot of buyers out there, and in the few buyers that there are out there, a lot of them just can't afford the price ranges that I need to sell it at in order to even pay off my balance, right? So having a renter isn't horrible. It just means you're just going to take a back seat right now and maybe try putting it on the market in 6 months, 12 months from now, once their lease is up. So it is what it is. That's why we diversify. So that's why we have other pots that we have cash in, et cetera. That's why we have Bitcoin. That's why we have high yield savings accounts. That's why we have retirement funds, all that type of stuff. So that's why it's really important to be diversified.
Yep. Same thing over here. Let's talk about taking what the defense gives you. Now, Ant, we know, got bounced. Him and the T-Wolves got bounced for the second time in 2 years in the Western Conference Finals. He said he's going to be back. What are the odds that Ant and the Wolves make it back to the Western Conference Finals next year?
Here's the thing. It depends on who they draw, but like OKC's going to be back. They're young. They're hungry. They're going to be back. Whether they win or lose in the Eastern Conference or in the NBA Finals, they're going to be back in the Western Conference Finals, period. All right. They're a lock, in my opinion. And then I'm even trying to think about who else. I mean, Denver's going to be back up there, right? LA.
I'll name some teams for you. Denver.
LA.
That's probably LA, both of them.
Both LAs.
Probably not the Suns. KD's leaving. That's probably going to get blown up. Golden State. But then you got Houston. Don't forget they had a really good season. And they got the experience. They took their lumps.
They took their loss. Yep.
Dallas. They're going to get Cooper Flag. They'll be back. They could easily be a playing team. San Antonio.
They're going to be better.
They're going to be better too.
The West, for him to, I mean, it's easy for him to say in the moment because he did go 2 years in a row, which is a huge accomplishment. Like, it's hard to get to any conference finals 2 years in a row. That's tough. So do I think he'll be back next year? No, I don't. I don't think he'll be back next year just because the West is so strong.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a hard no. There's too many teams. First of all, the Wolves got questions too. What you gonna do with Julius Randle? They're gonna have some change up too. They're gonna have some roster changes there. I like them coming into this season. I like their rookie Terrence Shannon Jr. He was at Illinois, and he was a bucket. I was putting money on him last March Madness, not this year, but last year. I mean, he's one of them guys, easy 20 points. He was always giving about 20. So he was hitting it every time. He's a hooper. I thought he'd be a little bit more in the mix, but the West is too tough.
And I'll go off on a limb and say, man, the Pacers and Thunder. I mean, the Thunder obviously have their star in Shea, but like, I think the Pacers have created a formula that the rest of the NBA will follow. You just can't depend on one star. It just doesn't work. If you want to get to the NBA Finals, you got to have dudes who are just role players, truly just role players, and really excel in their roles. Just ask the Milwaukee Bucks, right? You depended on Giannis. I understand Lillard got hurt a little bit, banged up. But even with Lillard, they still didn't have enough to beat the Pacers because the Pacers just have a lot of role players who really play their role well. I think the NBA is going to go away from we only need a 1 star or 2 stars and really start to put emphasis on the bench because the Pacers are not beating people because they have all these stars, superstars. We don't have that. But we do have a really, really, really good bench and really, really, really good role players. And that's why the Pacers are in the NBA Finals. Unlike the T-Wolves, their depth is not great. They have obviously Ant, and they have a struggling.
I wouldn't say their depth is horrible, though. They got Nas Reed. Nas Reed was 6th man of the year.
Yeah, okay.
You got DiVincenzo. He's been there before, too. I mean, like it's not the Pacers' depth. I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but there's teams that are. I wouldn't say they're not deep. You know, Rudy Gobert can give you some. Julius Randle's supposed to give you some. Their problem is
maybe they were just underperforming.
Yeah, that's totally their problem. It ain't that it ain't there because Julius Randle had good games. He can give you good games.
He can give you 30 if he wants to,
but then he can give you 3.
Yeah.
You know, Rudy Gobert, you just kind of don't know. You know, he can give you 20 rebounds one game.
He's a good defensive and rebounder, but he struggles on offense.
So, you know, they just got guys underperforming. They probably need to mix and match their pieces so much as opposed to depth being the problem. But while we're talking about depth, let's go to the guy who truly doesn't believe in depth. You know, that's the breaking news today. Thibs is out. You know, ultimately, I think his coaching style is what it is. He gets these teams about this far, and that's all it is because you can't win with playing 8 guys, 7 guys, not this long into a deep playoff run. You play them hard all season. You play them in the playoffs. You know, I think they did the math. They said the Knicks played 16 more games this season, minutes-wise,
than everybody else.
So you can't win like that. They tired. They banged up. You know, eventually the horse is going to go, especially the later you get into the playoffs. But
because now we just have to key on their star player, Brunson, because not only does he got severely outcoached, severely. Rick Carlisle outcoached him severely. It was just so clear. And you always know it's bad when the other team starts to tinker with their starting lineup. Like, oh, dang, now we got to scramble. Now we got to put Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup. He's not been in the starting lineup all year. Now we got to start playing more guys who haven't seen the court all year. These guys are trying to get their footing in the playoffs in round 3. It just doesn't work like that. So he just got severely outcoached. I still think talent-wise, you know, the Knicks were probably on paper the more talented team. I can't argue that as a Pacers fan. I will admit that. Kind of.
I don't know about that, actually.
Okay. It's debatable. But regardless, our coach is just 10 times better than their coach. And it really does come down to that sometimes. And yeah, that's Tibbs just you can't not only can you not run your starters into the ground, but then you just only play like 2 more guys off the bench. You can't do that. You just can't do that. And so that's why you got the boot.
I would say this. I mean, even if you look at star for star, you say, okay, going back to your just quick statement about Knicks being better. I don't know about that. I think, okay, you can go matchup for matchup. Halley was on TMN USA. Brunson wasn't. Now, can Brunson get a better clip? Sure. Can he get to the basket a little bit more? You know, albeit the free throw baiting and all this stuff. Sure, he can, but you know, Halley's game is still
each other out.
Yeah, Halley's game is still right there, and I would say he does a little bit more, even though the teams are made up a little bit different.
Yeah, they cancel each other out.
But after your top 4, sure, your top 4 might be better, but as we said, the bench ain't. They pulling Mather and TJ McConnell off the bench, and they can give you 10.
Yeah, our bench is way better. That's
Nick
true.
Brown, you know what I mean? So overall, talent-wise, I don't think it's crazy. Miles Bridges, they traded 4 first-rounders for. He doesn't play like a dude who's playing, 4 first-rounders. I mean, Neesmith outplayed him a couple games too, especially game 1. What happened? So better. I think the teams were made up better.
Yeah, I feel like the Pacers are constructed better, and obviously they're just deeper. We even had this conversation over the summer. It's like the Pacers have like 9 starters right now, like legit 9 starters. Yeah. I think Obi Toppin could start on a lot of teams. I think I know for a fact Mathurin is a Pacers starter. He just happened to get hurt, and they inserted Nembhard in the starting lineup. I mean, Mathurin is a freaking bucket, and he would start and be the number 2 option on a lot of NBA teams.
Yeah, I do too.
McConnell's probably still a backup on most teams. They like to build off the bench. But those are just 3 guys just off the top of my head who could get a lot of playing time or start elsewhere. So our bench is by far, I don't know about the Thunder. They might have something to say about this.
We'll get to that in a sec.
But our depth is, outside of the Thunder, the best in the NBA. Even going into the Cleveland series, they were like, well, the Cleveland's depth, their depth is so good. Their depth is trash. They had Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and that's it.
After game 6, I think everybody got a little bit of surprise. Siakam won Eastern Conference MVP over Halley. Did the league get it right?
Yes. He was more consistent. We gripe all the time. Hallie. When he's cold, he's cold. But when he's not, I've never seen an NBA player with such a drastic drop off from game to game. He'll give you 30, 12, and 10, and then give you 3, 2, and 5. Like it's just such. He has no consistency, truly, which is why he's been the number one topic on ESPN all week on if he's a superstar or not. We want to give him superstar label some games, but then the other games, it's like, dude, you literally shot the ball 5 times and you went 1 for 5. Why didn't you shoot the ball at least 15 times? So I think they got it right. Siakam was the more consistent player. He's the all-star as well. I mean, yeah, they got it right. They got it right.
Yeah, I think they got it wrong. Now, granted, as we said, team ball and all this, but Hallie's been the real driver. Okay, you say that. Let's go. I'll just start back from game 2 of
game 1.
31 points, game 2. 14, game 3. That's fine. He had 14, 11, and 8. Okay, fine. Then he came back with 20. Then he came back 32, 15, and 12. Sure, game 6, he had
game 5. Game 5, he was.
Or my bad. I'm off again. Yeah, game 5, he had 8, 2, and 1. He had the bad game, but he bounced back game 6 with 21, 13, and 6. He's been the driver. He's been the guy this whole time.
With the super clutch, with the
clutch threes. Yeah. He ain't hitting the one in game 1. We're probably going to game 7, and they're probably in Cancun by now. I thought Hallie, he's the main guy of the team. Yeah, he has been up and down, throughout his career. Last year, I thought he was way more up and down. This year, I thought he's pretty consistent. Guys are going to have bad games. Sure, he could have been more aggressive. It wasn't just he was missing shots, but he should have been more aggressive. And I think he's going to have a real, this series is going to ride. If he don't go nowhere, they really not going anywhere. Siakam can do all he wants. They still cannot go nowhere. Hallie don't do what he wants. They're stuck in the mud. He's the driver of that offense. He gets it going, and he gets steals too. Yeah. So
yeah, by definition, I think Tyrese Halliburton is the most valuable player to his team in the entire NBA. Literally, we go as far as he takes us, truly, and there's no debate about it. We do not win basketball games without him. I was talking at the barbershop, and I was like, you can show me Tyrese Halliburton's stat line, and I'll tell you if the Pacers lost or not. I don't even need to see the final score. Just show me what he did in the game, and I'll tell you if the Pacers lost or not. I can tell you wins and losses all day, depending on his stat line. Period. We will not win if he doesn't play well. Period. And I can't say that for a lot of other stars in the NBA. No. Just because he has that type of scoring impact, assist impact, even defensively, he gets steals impact. He's just the driving force by definition. I still think the Thunder can win a lot of games without Shea. Yeah. The Cleveland, I think the New York Knicks are better without Brunson.
They play better in stretches when he was on the bench. They
played better. We lost the battle when he was on the bench. If you look up the plus minus with Brunson-less minutes, the Pacers lost that. Every time he was off the court, they went on a run. Every time. That's not by coincidence.
And going back to going back to the Tibbs thing, it's not all his fault because all at the same time, you've heard it said in NBA circles, when you got a guy that small, you can't win with him. You can't put the team on his back, literally. And Brunson, me and him looking eye to eye, that ain't good. Mm-hmm. That ain't good. So let's get to the last topic real quick. Now, who will win the NBA Finals? Who you got and how many games? What if I'm going to open up a ticket right now, who we got? I'm taking OKC and I'm taking them in 5. I think Indy will win game 3. If they play their cards right, they can win game 1, catch them off guard, catch them, they've been at home for a minute now. Catch them off guard. Indy's at least been in a little bit more of a rhythm. If you can get game 1, I think they got a real shot, but I think it's OKC in 5.
Now, y'all realize he just asked me this. I'm a diehard. I'm 20 minutes from the stadium right now, y'all. I'm a diehard. Hey, look, Pacers in 7. We're gonna finish it on the road. Pacers in 7.
Yeah, you lied.
If Denver can take them to 7, so can we.
Now that is a good point, and I think people gonna win. Denver did take them to 7 with no coach.
We're the only team that is maybe a little bit better than us is OKC. Don't mean we can't beat them, but I do feel like they're better than us. But I do feel like we can still beat them.
What happened last year in the Eastern Conference Finals? You guys played Boston.
We got swept 4-0.
Okay.
What does that mean?
That y'all about to get beat 5-1. Because look, just like Boston, look, here's the deal. OKC, Indy, Boston, all deep teams, complete teams play team ball. Agreed? Sure. Here's the problem, though. And Hallie's light is, he's definitely playing better this year than he did last year. A lot of factors for that. But, SGA is the reigning MVP. His bright star, his light's a little bit brighter. Tatum and Brown, they're a little bit, last year they were a little bit bigger stars. When the Pacers meet teams that are complete teams, the balance, that advantage that they have is gone. Now what? Miles going to get rebounds? We like him. But you know what I mean?
He's not going to get rebounds. But to be fair, I was just talking about this. I think Miles is going to have a big series. Hardenstein doesn't want to guard him way out there. Miles thrives against non-offensive bigs. He goes to town on them. Every time Miles plays a non-offensive big, meaning a big that is solely in there for defensive rebounds, Hardenstein got that little ugly floater that does go in, but he's not an offensive big. He'll catch a lob, cool, whatever. He's not an offensive big. He's in there for defensive rebound. But Hardenstein doesn't want to guard Miles out on the three-point line, which is where Miles wants to live. The only reason why Miles struggled against Cat is because he's an offensive big. The only reason why Miles struggled against Giannis first round is because he's an offensive big, defense too, but mainly offensive big. In the Cleveland series, Miles was going to town. Yes, they have the defensive player of the year, but Mobley doesn't want to guard Miles out there. He's a defense, and Jared Allen couldn't sniff Miles' jockstrap. It was that bad. Miles is going to town in the Cleveland series because these are defensive bigs. Hardenstein is a defensive big. I think Miles is going to pop off. I think him and Siakam are going to have great series. And Tyrese got to, he got to run the pick and roll action to get him the ball because Hardenstein don't stand a chance. Where it will be tough, just like last year when we faced the Knicks when Hardenstein was in a different jersey. He was in the New York Knicks jersey. Hardenstein was obviously killing Miles on the board because, dang it, we don't like rebounds. For whatever reason, we don't like rebounds in Indiana.
Hardenstein averaging 9 rebounds a game versus Indy. Chet averaging 7 in the last 10, average about 8.5 this season. My thing is that Indy thrives on flawed teams. Hey, a team that only plays 5 guys, they eat them up. A team that's only built around one guy, Giannis. And I'm not saying these are bad teams.
Cleveland, they're not built around one.
And I'm not taking away from Indy. I'm not saying that like they thrive off just weaker opponents, but Indy's a very balanced team. So if you're too strong in one where you got a Jalen Brunson, a dude who can give you a bucket at any time, but you're not deep in some areas, okay, we can mitigate this. It goes to coaching. Indy's good about mitigating the strengths, the Brunson, the Giannis. Mitigate them, or at least say, hey, you're going to do what you're going to do and nobody else will. They're good about coming up with good game plans versus good players. Who are you going to stop now? Jalen Williams get hot? And mind you, SGA averages damn near 40 a game versus the Pacers this season. So sure, you might have had a defensive plan for Brunson, but this ain't Brunson. And okay, you're gonna get 4 guys to that. Who's guarding Jalen Williams? Hey, Lou Dort can shoot that 3 too. There's a lot of guys you got to account for. You can't throw 3-4 guys at one player or one task like you've done in previous series. The Cleveland was probably the most balanced team they've had. I will say they had a little and Indy played well. I'm not taking nothing away from them, not at all. And Matt Miles what was the X factor based on the stats, no doubt. But I'm just saying. OKC's had their number all season. Just like they've had a lot of other teams.
Yeah, it's going to be it's our tallest task of the year for a reason, right? Sure. And I would argue we're their tallest task. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
I think we are the best team that they faced so far. Period. Because I was running down the list, I was like, I was hoping Denver made it because I think we beat them in like 5 or 6. I think we would sweep the Timberwolves. We'll just talk about them too, just because they made it that far. Everybody else is just kind of irrelevant. But the T-Wolves, we would have swept them. They would have stood no chance. And I think Denver, I don't
think it would have been sweet. You think with your heart a lot. I ain't no damn sweet.
T-Wolves, they might have got one game, maybe. I think Cleveland would have beat them in 4 or 5 too, honestly. For sure. I don't think the T-Wolves, no.
How many games did T-Wolves get on SGA in them? 2?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to tell you how many they got on the Pacers this year. We blew them out twice.
Playoffs is different, though.
Playoffs is different, but they just don't match up well against the Pacers. Most teams don't.
And that's the thing. The Pacers match up well with most teams. I don't think OKC is one of them for the
No.
Match up well against Boston last year.
Correct.
But which matchup are you winning? You winning point guard, SGA versus Hallie. As good as Hallie is, you probably lose that matchup. Now what do you do? Like, which matchup are you winning? The paint matchup
Siakam on Chet.
That'll be a good one. I thought that was probably the most competitive one.
Siakam. I think Siakam wins because Chet can't guard Siakam, and nobody can. No slouch to Chet. Nobody can guard Siakam. He's the best power forward in the league. Period. He's the best power forward in the league.
In the league.
He's the best power forward. He's the best power forward in the league because he plays defense too. Ask Cat. Cat don't play a lick of defense. He's the best power forward in the league. Name me a better one. I'll wait. I will wait.
I got to think about it.
Please do.
First of all, was Siakam even first team on NBA?
No. He's still the best power forward in the league. He was an all-star.
You talking with your heart right now.
No, I'm truly.
He's better than Giannis.
In the league.
He's better than Giannis.
He's a 5. If Giannis is a 4, then Giannis is the best. But I was considering Giannis a 5.
We'll talk about that one a different day. We talk about that next time.
Yeah, but my point was, let me go back. And Siakam is going. He has the advantage over Chet. He's a better basketball player than him. Period. It's child's play.
Shooting guard Lou Dort versus Nembhard.
Man,
it could be a scratch. I probably got that one.
Scratch. They're both fantastic.
Lou Dort can hit and play.
They're both fantastic defensive players.
And they
can both score the ball. A little bit more. They can both score. And
Nembhard can score. I'll give it a scratch. Jalen Williams versus Nesmith.
Jalen Williams.
So right now we got point guard OKC, scratch for shooting guard, Jalen Williams for OKC. Power forward, you got Siakam over Chet. That's fine. Hartenstein and Miles.
Scratch. One of them's good at defense and rebounds. One of them is a offensive shooter. Scratch.
For the same reasons, I agree. So we got 2 scratches, 1 for the Pacers and 2 for OKC.
You already said SGA?
Yeah, SGA. Not to mention Caruso's been here before. He's going to play D on somebody. I wouldn't be surprised if he played D on Hallie. So now you got him to deal with too. And they got the other Jalen Williams too, who also can play big in the paint. He don't have bad numbers this season too. He's averaging like 6 and 6 off the bench or whatever, but he plays big in minutes. So,
I agree that the Thunder are a little bit better than the Pacers. I'm not that dumb, even though my emotions is in this, but I am saying we can beat them. That's all I'm saying, because just like they're our toughest matchup, we're also their toughest matchup, and there's no doubt about that.
So you got Pacers in 7. I got OKC in 5.
Yeah.
What are some real quick before we get out of here? What are some other good some good bets, some good prop bets to put down? You said Miles for
Miles points. You got to go SGA points just because, I
got SGA points on mine. He's averaging damn near 40. They probably gonna put his line about 30.
Yeah, who stopped him, right? You got to say SGA points. I think Hallie's going to be passing a lot. I don't think here's the thing. I don't think Hallie's going to be scoring a lot, but I do think he'll be effective. I think you're going to go Hallie assist and Siakam points.
I like Hartenstein for rebounds and Chet rebounds too.
I like Hartenstein. Yep, Hartenstein rebounds is a lot.
He's averaging 9 a game per Indy. So if he's anywhere around 11, I'd probably take it. Chet averaging about 7. So as long as he's probably 9, I'd even probably take him 9.5 just out maybe the first game or 2, especially at home. He could do that too. So those are some good things to be on the lookout for.
I agree. It'll be great. Hey, first time in 25 years we've been, and hey, game 3, I'm in that thing. Gotta be.
Ready? Is the city ready?
Hey, the city's rocking. We're ready to go. This is we feel like almost like a Butler Bulldog kind of run right now. It's crazy.
Well, that's all for Ball N Biz. We're going to be back checking in during the NBA Finals. Lots to talk about. I'm sure the storylines are going to change up. We're going to see who's right. Let's find out if Indy, let's hope they keep up. I'm rooting for them, but hey, if they go out and get game 1, catch them boys off guard, I'm going to think a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. But you drop 2 on the road, whatever, but they do, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Before we sign off, my biggest reasoning for the Pacers in 7 was because I feel like we're so much better than the Denver Nuggets. I get that they have Jokic. I get it. He's a stat stuffer.
I don't know
how he is. But I just feel like with a banged up Michael Porter Jr., who wasn't hitting a lick, obviously they had Aaron Gordon. Murray was just kind of on and off. I just feel like the Pacers are just so much better than them. And for them to still take them to 7 concerns me about how good the Thunder really are. That's all I'm saying.
They also do have a former 2-time, 3-time MVP, and they've been there before too. So there is that.
True.
There is that. Well, that's all we got for Ball N Biz. We'll catch up with you next time. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let's do it big. NBA Finals, we're here.
Let's get it. Peace.